Thank you for sharing your initial insights. And I'd like to introduce Pandit Vamadeva Shastriji to us all, also known as Dr. David Frawley. Dr. David Frawley has done a lot of work, not just with the Vedic Friends of Association, being a chairman himself. He's also won the Padma Bhushan of 2015 and has been declared a Ved Acharya by Sri Narendra Modi himself. He is also prominent when it comes to Vedic work and interdisciplinary approaches. He has done a lot of work at the institution itself, the American Institution of Vedic Sciences, which offers a lot of short courses into yoga and Ayurveda and how these things combine together. It's also very nice to see the amount of academic work that's gone into that to be able to create a board of rigor there as well. Vamandevaji is a a Vedic person who looks into Ayurvedic medicine, Jyotish, Vedic astrology, the deeper aspects of yoga, and Vedanta to the Western world. It's fantastic to see not just his knowledge of how Ayurveda has started in Bharat and how it's got Bharatian roots, but also the effect that it now has on the Western world and how the Western world are carrying forward this baton as well. And he's also had the D.Lit. Doctor of Letters, which goes a lot more into the literature by S. Vyasa, which is incredible to see, and also yogic and Vedic sciences. He's been accredited on many boards. He's done many lectures. He's written many books. One of them is also the Yoga and Ayurveda book as well. And it's a riveting read, highly recommended. And without taking up too much time, I'd like to pass the floor over to Panditji to share his initial thoughts. Namaste.
Namaste, Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Shri Guru
I'm
Namaha.
very happy and honored to be with you and with this wonderful Yoga Kulam organization, which is now here a national and international presence and expanding in so many ways. And I'm very honored to be with Dr. Koteja, who has done tremendous work over his tenure raising the place of Ayurveda globally, whether it is in terms of schools, whether it is in terms of global outreach, raising standards, improving medicines, global communication with all systems of medicine, so many centers, what he's talked about with the WHO, and how Ayurveda has been expanding under his guidance. We also need to honor the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There is no other Prime Minister or leader in the world who is taking such interest in natural medicine and also yoga and we might say Vedanta, higher spirituality. And so he is raising these globally by his presence, by how he works and how many institutions he has developed, and bringing back the pride, the traditions, the knowledge, the publications, developing new forms of education with the technology and all the rest. So I've been involved in this field for some decades, and I'm so very happy to see how it is expanding today under such leadership. And it's expanding also at a very professional way with connections to very high-level organizations. And we have visited many countries throughout the world over the years, whether Europe, Russia, South America, North America. And we see this Ayurveda, yoga, Vedic community now in all these countries. It's almost, you might say, like a counterculture. It's also like its own basis for bringing all the Vedic knowledge to humanity, which is so very important. And today, today, yoga and Ayurveda are necessary more than ever because we are in such an era in which there is so much movement away from natural living, so many new technological changes, educational changes, and psychological issues increasing, like depression, anxiety in the United States. And there's a decline in longevity. Even in the United States, the average age of life for the male has been dropping several years per decade. So Ayurveda and yoga are coming in at crucial time for humanity. Now, in the work that we do, our emphasis is on what I would call an integral approach to the Vedic sciences. I know that is quite a big endeavor, but all these systems connect, and we don't need to know all of them, but we need to know what they can be used for. And I'll first explain these in a simple way. Some years ago, I had a visit with the Shankaracharya of Kanchi Puram. That was Vijayendra Saraswati, who was there today, asking him about how the Vedic sciences relate together. And he said very simply, Ayurveda deals with the health for the body on all levels. Yoga deals with the help for the mind through the chitta. Jyotish deals with the understanding of time, kala, and karma. Vastu deals with the knowledge of space, location, akasha. And on the crown jewel is Vedanta, which takes us to Atman, Brahman, self-realization, higher aspects of yoga and all the Vedic sciences. So all these come together, and we work with them at various levels, and they all interpenetrate each other. For example, take the yamas and niyamas of yoga. They are also the foundation of psychological well-being relative to Ayurveda, but also relative to all medical systems. So I want to introduce a little bit this connection between yoga and Ayurveda. And of course, we're all living in the physical world, but yoga and Ayurveda have other connections as well. First, they are connected by prana. Doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha are nothing but prana connecting to the 5 elements at a physical level. And yoga itself is a science of prana. Of course, pranayama is very important. But at the same time, yoga, like Vedanta, recognizes what we also called the prana purusha, or atma, the universal prana. There is a prana behind everything. Everything is alive, just as everything is conscious or self-aware in this living and self-aware universe. But we have forgotten how to connect with these. And in that regard, yoga and Ayurveda connect us to nature's intelligence, which is not just the ground on which we live, but it is also the intelligence that's there in the plants, the trees, the flowers, the herbs, the atmosphere, the movement of time, the seasons, the stages of life. There is a also level of mind and intelligence in all aspects of nature that yoga and Ayurveda teach us how to connect with, very simply, because if you give your attention and dedicated awareness to a subject, whether it is the plants, whether it is the stars, then you can then get the interconnection as well as the connection with the traditional knowledge that the Vedic sciences have. So promoting the Vedic sciences as a whole is very important, and knowing what they can do. For example, the Jyotish can help us understand our karma and timing factors with its dasha systems with the birth chart. That's even important for timing of Ayurveda practices and etc. And there's also the Vastu issue, if we want to design our clinics, design our homes, and set up the right directional forces. We don't need to know these personally, but we can work with those who are in the field so that the Ayurvedic doctor and the Jyotishi can work together at certain levels, or yoga and Ayurveda. We see the mutual respect and basic knowledge, and at the same time representing or connecting to the Vedanta, the highest self-knowledge. Who am I? The pursuit of moksha, the pursuit of ananda, the connection to the samadhi, and also to help us at the Ayurvedic level, how all these forces work together. And it's very important to make a great emphasis on prana, because we're living in a very electrified world with a lot of artificial influences, radio waves, various artificial forces. We talk about artificial intelligence today. It certainly has its place. It can do better communication, translation, organize of data. But we also have to recognize our own inner intelligence, the self or the Atman that dwells within in the spiritual heart, because that has a higher level of knowledge, and that's what yoga and Ayurveda bring us to. And also in our environment today, in this digital world, and all these electrical forces can disturb our prana or can disturb the Vata dosha. So we need to know how to compensate for these factors as well. We need our regular pranayama. We need food and herbs that holds a power of prana. We, of course, live in an era of the very advanced pharmaceutical medicine, which has its advantage and its usage, particularly in acute conditions. But we must remember that we are not chemical factories. We are pranic beings. We are conscious beings. We have many lives. We are connected to the whole of life, to all society, and all living beings. So understanding pranayama, and the other aspect of Ayurveda I want to emphasize is very important, is the rasayana, or the rejuvenation. Of course, we have the aging process. I just turned 75 myself. And it's very important to recognize the population is growing older. And so Ayurveda's rasayana practices, and particularly the medhya rasayana for the mind, but all the rasayana factors also connected to panchakarma, are very important and need to be introduced into the society. There's also Ayurveda, not only with the herbs, but with the massage and the oils and the fragrances. So the expansion of Ayurveda with the Vedic sciences and all these different levels. I also want to thank the consulate generals of the world, and particularly of the United States, for taking interest in Ayurveda. We were involved with that in Houston, but also in the other areas, San Francisco and so forth, and other countries throughout the world. So there is a connection there as well. And we need to continue to learn Ayurveda, but to integrate it and give it its primary position. In other words, it's not simply an additional thing we're bringing in from the side. Ayurveda is the essence that helps us integrate all forms of healing in a natural, pranic, and conscious way. And then yoga, which brings about the integration of all aspects of life. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga are all important. Jnana yoga, self-knowledge, and all the tools of yoga. Mantra is the main tool for healing the mind. Prana is very essential for healing the body, but also the mind. Jnana yoga for really knowing who we are, what is life, what is the universe, why are we alive, where are we going, and bhakti for the devotion, the peace, and our connection through yoga with all the powers of nature, the Shaktis, the Devatas. Navaratri is going on right now, and all of this is connected. And so it's in closing, I want to say this is a great inspiration, this Yoga Kulam, this integration of yoga and Ayurveda is not only a need, it is a inspiration that can help people today who don't have anything to really look up to. We're so dominated by commercial forces. We've lost that sense of connection with the sacred nature of life, humanity, the universe as a whole. And we must remember now that we have good literature in Ayurveda that we can access, both from India, different countries, translations. We have various programs and organizations that we need to integrate and support. And we have to introduce all the Vedic sciences as the way of bringing the world together, humanity together, and all of our aspirations so that we can have true peace, prosperity, happiness, and well-being for all. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you again for inviting me, and let us all stay together through this important event and continue to share it with many similar events as you have been doing. Hari Om.